Tom, thank you for joining us this evening.
No problem.
So I just wanted to have a quick chat with you before everything kicks off, and I just wanted you to be able to explain your interest in CHP and in the project that we've got, and what's your interest in the harbour and the oceans?
So, I mean, Rob got in contact with me probably about a year and a half ago now. I'm quite interested in chemical pollution in the harbours. He'd seen some of my old studies that I've done across the UK. And really, my interest has really built from my career in science, really, since I've been doing my degrees, probably about 10 years ago now. So I've been working in environmental health for quite a long time, looking at monitoring of chemicals in the environment, especially freshwater environments, coastal environments, and so on. So really, it's come from my own personal interest and public interest from reading my papers, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, great, okay. So you have been incredibly busy analysing all of our results, and we've been on the case going, hey, what you've got, we'll give some information, what's happening, but having a think about the results that you've got and what you're going to be presenting later, is there anything in there that's actually kind of shocked you the most or surprised you that you've thought, oh, I didn't expect that, or just something?
Yeah, no, so there is some really interesting data. We've got a lovely data set to work with because we had so many samples collected.
Yeah, there was a few.
Yeah, just a few.
There was a few.
I don't get too shocked anymore with what I find in the environment because I've done quite a few of these studies
You've seen it
now.
all before.
Yeah, exactly. But I would say there's a really nice example where we've got some of the data and we're seeing a sewage spill into one of the sites on the harbour, and we're seeing really high concentrations of a lot of different chemicals from this spill event. We're seeing elevated concentrations of chemicals and more chemicals detected in sites that are close proximity to wastewater treatment plants. So even when this water is getting treated, it still contains some chemicals in there, and that's making its way into the harbours.
Okay, and so from being involved in this project, can you see what potential good it could do? What could we do with these results? Where could we take them? And what kind of impact might that have on potentially infrastructure of the wastewater treatment plants or anything like that? What do you think?
Yeah, so there's a couple of aspects that I think are really nice about this study. First is the involving the local citizen science angle. This has been a really nice project to work with people who are also interested, that aren't necessarily researchers, but they have a real interest in this.
We have a lot of passionate people about our waters around here. Yeah,
exactly so. And I think that's really nice because public awareness often drives a lot of change. So when we're talking about lobbying, putting pressure on governments, on councillors and so on, this is where the public is really useful. In terms of this data, what water companies could do with it, water companies are aware that their sewage does contain chemicals. Really they need to build or increase their capacity of their sewage network, because a lot of the time their capacity of the network is exceeded, which leads to this storm events that spill over and release raw sewage into different waterways across the UK. But then they can also increase end of pipe treatment, so rather than just having primary and secondary treatment, they can also have something that's called tertiary treatment, which basically improves chemical removal from these from the wastewater.
Yeah, so that's amazing. So instead of just having, increasing the capacity that they've got, so actually treating it for the chemicals in the first place before it comes out, because otherwise if we just increase capacity, then even on the treated releases, these chemicals are still going to be present in our harbours.
Yes, yeah. So
we need to be looking specifically at that as well as increasing the capacity.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, okay, cool. Right, well, thank you for having a chat.
Yeah,
and,
no worries. Thanks for having me here as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Amazing, thanks.
Right, Alex, thank you for coming tonight. Basically, we wanted to have a quick chat just to say, firstly, thank you. It's incredible to be working with you, and we've loved the whole process so far. But why did you want to get involved in this project? What spurred you on in the first place? What was it that sort of grabbed your interest and said, I want to be involved in that?
I think for me, as you know, it's great that people have been concerned about the sewage issues, and it's great that the public have really embraced this subject. But the message I wanted to get across that we should be worried about the pollutants that you can see, as well as the things that you can see, like the sanitary towels and the cotton buds and things that are associated with sewage. So I really wanted to get that message across, that there are some very nasty chemicals that come out of that sewage that can be harmful to our wildlife. But you could see crystal clear waters maybe, and they would be there, but you just literally can't see them. And what this does, this study, it brings it to light, and hence the name Project Spotlight, and it shines that light on those chemicals which people maybe were just not aware could be harmful to our wildlife.
Yeah, and that's what we wanted from the very first, word go of the whole project. We wanted to be able to say, yes, sewage and poo, and talk about all that kind of stuff. It's really important, but we just felt like there was a huge part of missing information. We didn't know that what was in that sewage, and I think that people were, kind of concerned that it was just a bit gross and a bit disgusting, but actually didn't have any actual concept of what was in it and what the impacts of potentially the chemicals in it on humans and the environment. So yeah, it was all the stuff that we couldn't see, and that's what we wanted to bring to light as well.
Yeah, and I think in the past scientists have been looking in rivers downstream of sewage treatment plants, but there was this perception that in the sea it would not matter so much. And there was a saying, the solution to pollution is dilution.
Okay.
And if you just flush it out into the sea, there's so much ocean out there, surely it can't be at a concentration that causes harm. So what this study is one of the first ones to look in the sea and in the animals around our coasts. And I think people are going to be quite shocked at the concentrations of some of these chemicals that we know were designed to be biologically active because they're pharmaceuticals, and they will be affecting some of our wildlife as well.
What's kind of the most surprising thing that we found, that you found in this study? What did you think wouldn't be there, or you're like, oh?
I certainly expected to find every single pharmaceutical that every member of the public might take.
Okay.
For example, diabetes pills, statins, painkillers, anti-anxiety medications, antidepressants, these things which are taken by the general public. Fully expect to see them there. I think the things that quite interested me as well, the fact that we were finding pesticides there, some of which have been banned. Now, some of them are there because they were persistent in the environment, so they might be there not because they're being used illegally now, but they might be there still because they were subsequently banned. But some of the ones which are really interesting are the ones which are the dog flea medications.
Yeah.
And these are really, really potent chemical compounds, which you'd think surely there's not enough dogs in this environment that have fleas, that have medication that could literally find its way out into the ocean and be detectable. And yes, we can. And we know that it doesn't take... These things are designed to kill fleas. They will kill little crustaceans at quite low concentrations as well.
Yeah, that's shocking, isn't it? That you don't think that the impact that actually you're having, which is completely miles away from the sea potentially, that impact that's going down into our environment, into our crustaceans.
Yeah, and I think obviously COVID, there was an explosion of people buying dogs and things as well.
Yeah.
And there's probably a greater need for people buying these medications for their dogs as well. So it will probably come up. There will probably be an increase now because we have more dogs.
And also, we were talking a while ago about how quickly new chemicals are made and how fast this is changing continuously, so that by the time we would have finished this interview, there's more chemicals being made. That is surely just compounding putting on top of the issue all the time, and things are getting worse.
Yeah, so chemists are continually inventing new chemical compounds. Thankfully, that doesn't necessarily mean that they instantly find their way in our everyday products. But we are finding that when we do have ones that we retrospectively find are bad for the environment, it takes a very long time to get them banned, unfortunately. And the industry is always one step ahead, where it just changes the formula slightly to one that we don't know enough about it being bad. So they tend to be one step ahead. So one of the things that they're trying to do in European legislation at the moment is ban suites of chemicals, not just one at a time, because that just takes too long. It can take 10 years maybe to build up the evidence to get a chemical banned. But if you think, well, if that chemical is bad and all the ones which are quite similar to it are likely to be bad and have a precautionary principle, it's better to ban that. But clearly there'll be a lot of lobbying from the industry
Who want to use that.
Who want to use them because they will find them useful in their products. And of course, many chemicals which are used in our everyday lives are useful chemicals which allow us to sort of do what we do as a society.
Yeah.
But we need to get better at banning the ones which are bad.
Absolutely. And what happens when our chemicals are in the water? So they just go in there, do they just magically break down? And what happens when the next load of chemical comes in?
Well, that's one of the issues with these pharmaceutical chemicals is, yes, they are there at low concentrations, but they don't need to be there necessarily at high concentrations to have an effect on a small little marine animal. So the reason our headache tablets have got an age range on them of how many tablets you might take is because big people can take more of that drug than small people.
It's all based on body weight, right?
Yeah. So a very, very small animal doesn't need to have as much of it to have the same effect. And the fact that they don't have it maybe every now and again if they've got a headache, they would be having it all the time at very low concentration throughout their whole lives. And that's clearly an issue. So it might be that they're not having a very high dose, but they're having a continued dose.
I don't like the sound of that, but okay. So thank you so much. Really looking forward to your presentation. I'll let you get back out there to get ready. And here's to a great night.
Thank you, Bianca. Thank you.
Hi Mark, thank you for coming here tonight for the presentation, and more importantly thank you for being a part of our amazing sampling team and for having Dell sponsor this whole thing. It wouldn't be possible without all of the sailing clubs and everybody that's helped us, so thank you so much for being such a big part of Project Spotlight. I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions just so you could tell people why you wanted to be involved. Why did you think that this was something that your sailing club would be interested in, and why did you feel that you personally wanted to go out there and help us with the sampling?
I think really fundamentally it's because we have a duty of care to ensure that whatever activities our members are involved in, they're doing in as safe method as possible. There were so many unknowns about the quality of the water, and having sailed there in the harbour since I was a boy, particularly Dell, I was aware of certain conditions up there. So and we wanted to know what was going on up there. And we're aware of what's going on with the water treatment works, have been for a number of years. Excuse me. But we have members that do more water immersive activities, so wild swimming, canoeing, paddleboarding. Yeah,
the wild swimming has really crept up on the agenda the last few years, hasn't it?
So we have I think we have a duty of care to find that out, but it's also to make sure that we have a safe environment.
Yeah.
And personally, it's something that I feel very strongly about, very passionate about, the environmental impact of our activities as a club on the harbour, and particularly at the cul-de-sac that's Dell Quay. We're very much part of the community of Dell Quay. We're just about to celebrate in 18 months' time our 100th year anniversary centenary. So it made sense to have that sort of involvement.
Yeah.
In this activity.
Yeah, great. No, we're incredibly pleased to have had you guys as part of everything. Have you found so far, you've heard snippets of our results, we're going to talk about it later on, but is there anything that you've heard so far that's actually caused you concern or has been quite shocking to you?
I guess no, which is a good thing, because I was very cautious of the fact that we're doing all this research. What if the worst case scenario we say, sorry, you can't use the water? That's a big
issue for sailing clubs and water enthusiasts.
Yeah. So, but like I said, we need to have that information so we can assess what the risks are.
Yeah.
But there's nothing that, from what I can see, too alarming.
Yeah. That you would say an immediate no more going in the water, all of that.
Yeah. Absolutely. But we need some strong action, and we need people in the right places to pay attention to it, and mechanisms to ensure that they toe the line. So we have a duty.
Yeah. What would you like to happen and be seen now after this project? After we've got all these results out there, would you like there to be a change in the water industry, or what would you like the government to actually do legislatively?
Well, that is an absolute given. There has to be a change in the water industry. We know what the causes of these problems are. So it's a matter of investment, and that's at the government level. So the government have got to either provide the investment or the mechanism to facilitate the investment, because the water companies, those that are shareholders, really need to be spending the money and not, taking it as dividends.
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult, isn't it? But yes, I think people are going to have to stand up and be counted.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping that the noise that has been created throughout the whole of the country on sewage issues, but now bringing light to what's actually in the sewage, I think I'm really hoping that will actually count and that will actually be taken into, the people are going to listen to that.
Yeah.
And the people in charge can make some changes and can say, yes, actually, this is really important information as to saying what environmental impact the chemicals in the sewage has got, or that impact potentially on humans. I think that hopefully that will add a bit more power to our argument that we want our sewage treated and is treated better than it is now.
Yeah, I think that, the fact that this is now has got such broad spread, everyone will be talking about it. So they will have to do it.
Absolutely, and just more than saying sewage, it's gross, it's not nice, all of those things, to actually add that power of the scientific evaluation on it, and saying it's got this, and this in it.
Yeah.
Really hoping that power.
And this is why I think the Project Spotlight was so important, because it focuses everybody on that. But you've got to get that quality information, because the information we had, there was water testing done before, but woefully inadequate.
Yeah.
And with looking for two
different parts from the harbour, and then 40 from the Environment Agency. Yeah. Whereas this study has now looked at over 500 different chemicals that we were looking at. Yeah. But that's also just a touch. There's thousands that it could be.
Yeah.
So,
but also done at the right time.
Yes.
It was done taking into account the tidal effects, because people think, the water comes in, we dump all the sewage, and the water goes out.
And it just disappears.
Which it doesn't.
No.
Of course.
It sticks around in our harbour.
The sailors, we know there's eddies in different parts of the harbour, so the heavier stuff comes out, but then gets returned or goes to an eddy and gets dumped on the sides and in the mud and the shoreline, so it harms the wildlife as well as the human beings. So it's a really broad-reaching impact that these results will have. So it's great to have that information.
Yeah. So what we're hoping. Fingers crossed, we're going to get somewhere, and this study is going to have a huge impact in the way things progress in the future on the water treatment works. Yeah. So we'll keep everyone posted.
Super.
All right, thanks. So thank you for hosting us this evening at Emsworth Sailing Club, and thank you for all the support that you guys have given us as Clean Harbours Partnership. I just wanted to get your kind of thoughts on the whole thing and ask why you wanted to be involved with this and why you wanted to support us. What do you think? What does the harbour mean to you and all the local people around here?
Well, I think on two levels. On a personal level, I've lived in this area for most of my life, so it's important to me personally. It's where I'm raising my family. At a club level, we have got so many harbour users here at every level, on the water, in the water, dog walkers, whatever it is, and it's just such an important part of everybody's life here. This is obviously an issue that has hit the local press and now brilliantly the national press at all, and it's just important as well, and it's just important to everybody. This is such a huge part of our lives here on the south coast and clearly all over the country. Pollution is a massive issue, and if there's something that we could do as a community and as a sailing club to contribute to finding the answers and going some way towards solving the problem, then that's brilliant. We were all for it.
Yeah, thank you. So you've supported us financially, helped to actually pay for the study, which is awesome, but also in just the sense that you enable us to host all these meetings here, and we use the room upstairs, and you guys are always so accommodating, so thank you so much. And I just wanted to kind of gauge your idea of where would you go from here? What do you think our next plans would be? What would you like to see us do?
Well, I think what the results this evening, albeit preliminary, it's a real start. How fantastic to have this huge collaboration. As we know, we've had previously lots of small voices making a bit of a noise, but actually nothing loud enough to have an impact. Now we've got this fantastic collaboration, lots of different stakeholders, and we've got evidence. We've got science-led, evidence-based results that we can actually do something with. Some of the things we've talked about tonight, really important, quite horrifying to see everything that we're consuming. is ending up in the water system. So I think what's next? Going further, finding out more about the impact of what we found in the water, the effect it's having on our marine life, taking that to the next level, making it part of the three main parties, manifesto, making it part of government. Pollution is an international emergency, as we know.
Absolutely, that's something that we would love to see. We would love to have a clean water sort of statement in everybody's manifesto.
Absolutely.
That would be
Absolutely.
incredible for us. That's what we want to see. And yeah, like you said, we want to see what number these chemicals are in, like what's their actual quantities, and what those quantities, when does that actually have an impact on our different creatures out there.
Absolutely.
I think that's really important. So fingers crossed going forward we can get there.
Absolutely.
But thank you so much.
And thank you for everything that you and all the other stakeholders have done. Absolutely brilliant.